Arsenal winning the Champions League. There is a genuine possibility that that is going to happen, and in this video I'm going to explore the reasons why in great depth. The power of Arsenal, the momentum of Arsenal, the dominance that Arsenal will have in the midfield, the brilliance of Arsenal in wide areas, making full use of the tenacity of Lewis Skelly and Jurriën Timber, but marrying up that tenacity fantastically well and in such a cohesive way with the silk and the guile of Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli, the evolution of Mikel Arteta, the vulnerability of Paris Saint-Germain, the utter and complete dominance of Declan Rice. There are a million reasons as to why Arsenal are capable of winning the Champions League. But before we go into them, I need to put my cards on the table. I am desperate for this not to happen. My entire being this season is anyone playing Arsenal. My priority this season, ahead of anything, is Arsenal not winning the European Cup. I am a PSG fan. Je suis Parisien. Ici c'est Paris. Où est la bibliothèque? From now until the end of the season, I support anyone playing Arsenal, but I have a terrible feeling that it is actually going to happen. And one thing I think is definitely going to happen is that on the 31st of May 2025, London will be a no-go zone because Arsenal will overcome Paris Saint-Germain. And there is therefore a 50% chance that a brand new name is going to be added to the collection of great teams who have won the European Cup. Arsenal and Paris Saint-Germain play one side of the draw, neither of whom have ever won it before. One of them will be in the final, and I am confident in saying that the one will be Arsenal. So just imagine London on the 31st of May. Like, we all know the dominance that Arsenal fans have in London. We all know how many fans Arsenal have. Like, it won't be a pocket of London either. Like, I'm not just talking about the Essex Road, Highbury Corner, the Calais. Not that. It won't be confined to Upper Street. North, south, east, west. Swerve London like the plague that day. Because it's happening. Arsenal are going to Munich. So why? Let's explore why. Why am I so sure that Arsenal will overcome Paris Saint-Germain? Where to start? I mean, Bukayo Saka is a reason in himself. Declan Rice is a reason within himself. The coming-of-age moment, beating Real Madrid home and away in a quarter-final of the European Cup is a reason in itself. The Panenka penalty is a reason in itself. The evolution of Arteta is a reason in itself. But maybe we should start with the jewel in the crown. And the jewel in the crown of Arsenal is the elite Bukayo Saka. The geezer is unplayable. The geezer is world class. It is the most boring debate in world football when people try and analyse, is Bukayo Saka as good as Rodrigo? Is Bukayo Saka comparable to Vinicius Jr.? Yes, of course he is. Geezer is a flawless footballer, capable of doing it at the very top. And that Panenka that went wrong is actually a microcosm of who Bukayo Saka is. Resilient. It went wrong, what did he do? He put it right. He tried to dink the keeper with a penalty, it went wrong, what did he do? He dinked him in the second half. The second he missed. The whole reaction was entirely familiar. When things go wrong for Bukayo Saka, he rolls his sleeves up and he puts them right. Now, just before we go any further, I'm terribly sorry to interrupt, but may I ask you a huge favour? If you're enjoying this video, quite simply, click the subscriber button. It would really help me out, and I would love to welcome you into this community. Thank you so much. I made a whole video on this channel fairly recently, celebrating the brilliance of Bukayo Saka, and you can still find that on this channel. But let's just delve into it again. The man is a monster. Do you remember when Jurgen Klopp would talk about the mentality monsters? And he was talking about Mohamed Salah and he was talking about Sadio Mane. It was, of course, totally true about those players. Bukayo Saka is a mentality monster, no doubt. Resilient until the very end, a hateful leader. And what I just said there is so important. Because there is this misnomer in football that Bukayo Saka is a nice guy. And whilst it's true about the man that he is, whilst I find Bukayo Saka incredibly likeable, annoyingly likeable to be totally frank, on the pitch he has adopted a serious edge. And that is what makes him such a compelling leader. I spoke about this in the Bukayo Saka video, but I'm going to touch on it again. Something massive happened in the game against Chelsea this season. We know how good Saka is at football. We know how brilliant his eye for a goal is. But what some people do not seem to be acknowledging about Bukayo Saka is the edge, the sneer, the element of filth, the hateful quality, which in a footballer is poetic. It's necessary and it's so important to who they are. So very quickly, we're going to do it again. I remember watching the Chelsea-Arsenal game this season. Halfway through the first half, I remember having this visceral reaction as Moises Caicedo was clattered into a venomous tackle. The impact came with a statement. Caicedo is our enforcer, and he got launched to the floor at Stamford Bridge. Unacceptable. It was Bukayo Saka who did it. And Bukayo Saka, for all intents and purposes, is not that sort of player. But it was Saka, and then you ask why. A few moments earlier, Moises Caicedo had done exactly the same thing to Martin Odegaard. It was retribution from Bukayo Saka. Saka smashed through Caicedo because Caicedo smashed through Odegaard. Who's the leader of Arsenal? Retribution, the bully bullying the bully. Keane to Vieira. Lampard to Xavi Alonso. Keown to Ruud van Nistelrooy. Saka to Caicedo. Saka is now a ferocious and terrifying footballer, and the days of him being seen as the little Chile are well and truly over. Even his other nickname, Starboy, feels increasingly inappropriate to me. He's ready to win, and the only thing that sets Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo apart from Bukayo Saka is the CV, the medals, the trophy haul. And off the back of 2 back-to-back European final defeats, Saka is ready to do it. And in the Bernabeu, in one of the most intense atmospheres, one of the biggest stages in world football, Saka burned brightest, showing his courage firstly with the Panenka, and then showing it again to dink Courtois off the back of getting the Panenka wrong. PSG will not know what hit them. If you were laughing when Saka missed a penalty, if you were doubting Saka off the back of him missing that penalty, you had about, what, 45 minutes, hour at best? That's how long he gives his doubters. A side note, perhaps not for this video, but I'm going to do it anyway. I hate Panenkas. I hate them. I hate them. I don't know what you're doing. Why are you doing that? I think some people see it as razzmatazz. They see it as showbiz. They see it as the sprinkle of stardust, the Hollywood in a football match. I absolutely hate them. 49 years ago, Antonin Panenka invented the Panenka. I never want to see it again. I don't know about you as well. Whenever I think of the Panenka, all I think about is Ademola Lookman. Gary Lineker as well. He made a Pig 0-1, didn't he, to equal Bobby Charlton's record. But that Lookman one, remember, I never want to see another Panenka in my life. But the point here is that PSG will not be able to cope with the brilliance of Bukayo Saka. Saka was the most threatening winger on the pitch in the 2 matches versus Real Madrid. Mbappe was on that pitch, apparently. Vinicius Jr. was on that pitch, apparently. Rodrigo was on that pitch, apparently. Bukayo Saka dwarfed them all. I actually believe that Saka is better than any of the players that I just mentioned. In his position, Mohamed Salah is better, I think. Beyond that, I don't think there is anyone. Genuinely. Anyone in the world better than Bukayo Saka. Luis Enrique won't know what to do. And he isn't even the only elite player for PSG to worry about. I mean, Declan Rice. Declan Rice will dominate that midfield battle. Now, don't get me wrong. Thomas Partey not being available for Mikel Arteta is a disaster. Thomas Partey getting himself booked, an absolute disaster. Because whilst Declan Rice was the best player in that first game, whilst we should acknowledge the contribution of Declan Rice, Thomas Partey, by some definition, was man of the match. Arsenal always looks so much better with Thomas Partey at a 6. Any time when Thomas Partey plays in that 6, Arsenal are a better team. It's actually a glaring error over the course of this season. Whenever we've seen Thomas Partey playing right back, Arsenal have never looked like the same team. And with hindsight, Mikel Arteta has got that wrong. But he's learned. He now knows that Thomas Partey is essential. So they're going to have to cope without him. Maybe Jorginho comes in, but Thomas Partey will be back for the return leg against Paris Saint-Germain. But we have to ask the question, can Arsenal cope without Thomas Partey in the first leg against PSG? And they can. And the reason that they can is because they have Declan Rice. You know, I heard David Moyes talking about Declan Rice the other day. He was saying that Arsenal still owe him 50 million quid for the sale of Declan Rice. And I think it's true. The Arsenal fans sing that they got him at half price, despite the fact that he cost over 100 million quid. And I think that there is a truth in the jestful song that they sing. Rice will win the midfield battle against PSG. Declan Rice totally outclassed Jude Bellingham in the 2 games against Real Madrid. Bellingham didn't get near Rice in any metric. Impact, Rice. Goal scoring, Rice. Influence on the game, Rice. Defining moments of the match, Rice. Running the midfield, Rice. Spectacular goals scored, Rice. Dominating the midfield at the Bernabeu, Rice. Jude Bellingham, footnote. Fringe player, irrelevant. Not because Jude Bellingham isn't an elite player, but because Declan Rice didn't allow Bellingham to get a foothold on the game. And that is what Declan Rice can do. So Rice will win the midfield battle. So now let's have a look. Where else do Arsenal need to shine? I would say the flanks. How will Arsenal perform on the flanks? And again, I feel like Arsenal will have it sewn up. The flanks where Arsenal can be so dangerous. Where Mikel Arteta has got the balance of his team so perfectly executed. And look at what Bukayo Saka did to Alaba. Smashed him up twice. The only time Alaba got anywhere near Bukayo Saka was when he was kicking him and getting himself booked. Gabriel Martinelli. I don't rate Martinelli as highly as everyone else, but I thought he did really well against Valverde in that first game and absolutely shone against Vazquez in that second game, scoring a goal at the Bernabeu to guarantee Arsenal a pathway into the semi-final, to guarantee Arsenal victory in the Bernabeu, to guarantee Arsenal home and away victories against the reigning champions of Europe. He also had that beautiful moment, didn't he? You know, when he nutmegged Endrick. But it isn't only the forward players. It's the balance and cohesion with the fullbacks. And in Jurriën Timber, Arsenal have a top-class talent. Timber versus Vinicius. It's one of those battles that we'll talk about for years to come. Think about what Ashley Cole did to Cristiano Ronaldo. It was almost a defining feature of Ashley Cole's career, pocketing Cristiano Ronaldo. You know that footage when Ashley Cole literally demonstrates to Cristiano Ronaldo, "You are in my pocket." Jurriën Timber could have done exactly the same too. Some would say the best footballer in the world, Vinicius Jr., in Timber's pocket. How many crosses did he block? Every single time Vinicius Jr. had any luck, Timber was there to shut it down. And why would that be any different against Paris Saint-Germain? Similarly, by the way, Miles Lewis Skelly, man, unreal. Like, just unreal. He's a kid. Dominating the Bernabeu, winning fouls, causing havoc, being a nuisance to the opposition, but also just so good on the ball. You know, when Rodrigo found out that he was up against an 18-year-old, he probably thought, right, this is my moment. This is it. You know, the focus is often on Vinicius Jr., the focus is often on Kylian Mbappe, but in this exact example, maybe those two drew the short straws and it was up to Rodrigo to perform and embarrass the 18-year-old. Couldn't get near him. And with that in mind, do you see why Arsenal are going to overcome Paris Saint-Germain and make it to the Allianz? Do you know another reason why Arsenal were just so ready to take on Paris Saint-Germain in the semi-final of the European Cup? We learned something about their approach to European football. We learned something about who they are when they went into that game at the Bernabeu. They were not overawed. They were not caught off guard. They were wily, and I'm getting them hyper. They were clever. They were streetwise. They were foxy. They demonstrated a wherewithal that in previous eras, Arsenal Football Club have not demonstrated. The word I'm going to use here is accurate, but because I'm a Chelsea fan, I worry that people will think that I'm saying it in a derogatory way. I'm not. Dark arts, cheating, whatever you want to call it, Arsenal have it in abundance. And I say that with nothing but admiration. Do you remember when Newcastle were really slowing the game down and Arsenal were getting upset? I think that they wouldn't anymore. I think they've understood that that's part of the game. And they were time wasting, or whatever you want to call it, at the Bernabeu. As well they should. Like, you could see that Arsenal were playing for throw-ins, playing for territory. David Raya got booked, didn't he, for time wasting? And you know the stop-start nature of that game at the Bernabeu? It was straight out of the blueprint of Pep Guardiola's best teams. Win free kicks, make it stop-start, take the edge away, take the sting out of the game, stop any momentum being built by the home team. If there is a free kick to be won, win it. If there is a collision that would result in the opposition player being penalised, initiate it. Get your body between the man and the ball and hope for the best thereafter. John McGinn style. But crucially in this context, Bukayo Saka and Jurriën Timber style. Also, Arsenal have already beaten Paris Saint-Germain this season. That must count for something. Now look, I heard David Raya talking, and he's dismissed it. He said that PSG look like a different team now to the one that they beat earlier in the season. But I think it means something, doesn't it? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. I think the fact that Arsenal have already beaten Paris Saint-Germain convincingly 2-0 at home this season counts for something. Can't be totally irrelevant, even symbolically. They have already beaten the team that they now face in the semi-final. I think it counts. I know that PSG have changed since then. I appreciate that. But I still think it counts to have beaten them. But of course I can see that since then they have looked pretty amazing. In fact, in the 9 games that they have played in Europe since that fixture, they have scored 27 goals. I mean, they put 4 past Man City, didn't they? They also eliminated Liverpool from the European Cup. And yes, obviously they beat Aston Villa. But against Aston Villa, there was a moment where you thought Villa were going to turn it around. At no point did it look to me that Arsenal weren't going to eliminate Real Madrid. Arsenal were ready. PSG just aren't going to be able to cope. Real Madrid, at home, at the Bernabeu, they needed to score 4 goals against Arsenal. We got to the hour point in that match, and Real Madrid had mustered 0 shots on target. Do you know how brilliant that is from Arsenal? Do you know how regimented that is from Arsenal? Do you know how tactically astute that is from Mikel Arteta? Defending with resilience. Lions, desperate for victory. Giving Real Madrid nothing, conceding 0. Do not give them an inch. That is the mentality. Set by Mikel Arteta, adopted by Bukayo Saka, inherited by Declan Rice, and passed across the entire team. If you make light work of Ancelotti, quite simply you can do it to anyone. If you eliminate the European Cup holders from the European Cup competition, you are serious contenders. And I see no reason why Arsenal will not make light work of Paris Saint-Germain and win both home and away. So there we have it. They're my thoughts on why I think Arsenal are going to make it to the Allianz Arena to play in the Champions League final. Will they make it? Will they win it? I don't know. It's going to be tough. They're totally capable, but Barcelona are excellent and Inter Milan are the governors. So we will have to cross that bridge when we get to it. But Paris Saint-Germain versus Arsenal, Arsenal are going to do it. If you're an Arsenal fan watching this video, book your accommodation in Munich because trust me, it gets fairly busy fairly quickly. Let me know. Let me know what you think. Is the impossible going to happen? Is my nightmare going to come true? Are Arsenal going to win the European Cup? Really keen to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Please click subscribe. And I look forward to seeing what you have to say in the comments. In a bit.